I feel like I've lost trust in my partner and it's ruining my moods and relationship. I've been exclusive with my partner since Feb this year, and officially together since July. We love each other a lot. Over the course of being together, we've had quite a few ups and downs, and definitely some red flags have appeared that I've either brought up and discussed or ignored and put down to my overthinking. We are very open to each other. She's told me personal things about herself and her past that I would expect most people in relationships would probably keep private. Some examples of things that have been discussed and the conversation we had at the time. I went out clubbing with her friends for the first time in April. On the same night, within an hour of each other, her ex texted her, and there was also a guy at the club that she used to hook up with who saw her briefly, then started texting her after trying to meet up in the club. He wouldn't have known we were dating. In a passing glance at her phone, I noticed messages from both of them and asked her about it. She said she replied to her ex to tell him to stop contacting her and ignored the other guy. I was pretty drunk, so said okay and didn't push any further, and we dropped it till the morning after. It got brought up. She said she deleted the messages, and I thought that was odd, to which she said I do that a lot with stuff I just don't want on my phone. I just had to trust her and dropped it. Early on, I was a bit sus about a guy she was texting a bit. She would text him in front of me, not trying to hide it, but I kinda ignored it. I know I approached the situation wrong, but at the time I worked myself up over it, and she was sleeping next to me and I was anxious about it. I woke her up and said I need to speak about something. Her first response was, OMG, did you go through my phone as it was sitting next to me? And I was like, WTF, no. This made me very sus. She said in a past relationship she went through an ex's phone and linked it to something she never wants to do with a partner, and vice versa, as it's past trauma. She started a new group fitness class in March, and the PT who runs the class has a reputation in our area for being a bit of a sleaze, even though he's engaged. My GF would occasionally chat with him online, like him replying to Insta stories of hers and making conversation. I felt a bit uncomfortable but didn't broach it much as it seemed fairly innocent. I trusted my girl at the time, and we are not opposed to having platonic friends of the opposite. She told me he gave her a massive hug in front of everyone, one class, which he doesn't do with anyone else, and all the others said how they thought it was weird. Then she told me in July he made a dirty comment her once in April through messages. I was pretty cut up and asked to see it. She bawled her eyes out but finally showed me, to which he said something along the lines of, "You are a naughty little girl." My GF ignored the comment and only replied to other convo. I felt super disrespected that she continued convo with him after that. She recently went abroad for 5 weeks. The first 2.5 with her girlfriend, the next 2.5 with me. While with one of her single friends, she goes clubbing and meets a group of guys, who enjoy the evening together. She texted me all night. At one point she was only missing for about 40 minutes, but I also went out clubbing. She went home with her girlfriend and one of the guys in the group. I didn't think anything bad happened, but I told her I didn't think you would appreciate it if I went out with a guy friend and spent the night with 5 single girls. While overseas she realized I knew her phone password as she gave it to me months earlier, but didn't realize I knew it as she said it once, and I've remembered it ever since. I never even went on it to check anything. We had an argument 2 days later. She left the room to talk to her mom. 4 days later, I went to check something innocuous on her phone and noticed she changed her password. I asked her about this and she said she didn't want me reading through messages with her mom. I found this a bit odd, but since we have shared each other's phone passwords. Recently, she went to the doctor and told me she got an ST check. I found this odd because we have been exclusive since February and she got an ST check just after we started sleeping with each other. I think I'm overstepping the mark with this one, but just annoying given she was on holidays without me a couple months ago. There are more minor things that seem sus, but that's enough for now. All of the above, I kind of frame it to her as, would you like if I did that, to which she realizes she wouldn't and apologizes and recognizes herself it's a bit hypocritical. Overall, I feel disrespected, and I have expressed this to her. She recognizes her faults, but she is also super defensive at times. Also, it seems to be a recurring theme. I know I'm an overthinker at times, sometimes jump too quickly to thinking the worst, but now I'm just doubting myself. When I look back over things, it feels like all these little things have culminated into me losing my trust in her, and I feel lost. I'm also over having to just trust her when I see it, as these situations shouldn't be happening in the first place. We spend a lot of time with each other and I enjoy it, but I can't get this stuff out of my head anymore, and it's affecting my mood with her and my general attitude towards her. We have spoken many times about how our number one thing in a relationship is honesty and trust. Do you think she's being truthful in all this? If I'm overthinking, how do I move on and build trust in her again? Comment. Brother, I'm gonna tell you right now that this behavior is going to persist. I'm glad you've identified it for what it is, blatant disrespect for the relationship. I've been in this exact situation before and I had high hopes that it would slow down and change because I loved her. In the end it just made the eventual end even worse. My advice? Cut your losses, find someone who has your same morals and understands your boundaries. Good luck. We can honestly keep it simple here. You've been official for about 2 months and you're here with what's ultimately an essay of reasons you don't trust her. Healthy relationships can't work without trust. But just put that into perspective. Paragraphs of issues and you're trying to build trust? Leave. Certainly work on insecurities you have, but there's just no way this is ever going to work. Good luck. Next story 2. My boyfriend cheated on me online, then kept more from me. My 2-year boyfriend cheated on me online 3 months ago, and I only recently discovered it. We're in a different country and had to swap phones to communicate during an event. He has always been extremely protective of his technology and online profiles, he even has a password for his Netflix account. I knew going through his phone would be breaking his trust, but I didn't expect to find anything and I certainly wasn't going to tell him. Unfortunately for me, I did discover something on his phone. It was a lengthy message to his friend, dated July 6th, 3 months prior. The message basically stated that when he met me, he was not looking for a relationship, but rather to sow his oats and have a wild time in college. He said he loved me and would never change the fact that we met, but he still felt like he missed out. He went on to explain that we were having problems in the bedroom, specifically that I'm not very good at certain things in the bedroom, which exacerbated his feelings of wanting to do things alongside single people. He eventually admitted to installing Tinder, admitting that he made a mistake, and uninstalling the app. He also said nothing happened. He went on to seek advice and so on. The message itself, as well as the descriptions used, were extremely vulgar, and I have never spoken to him in that manner in our 2 years together. I went through his messages, because I was already looking, and he's never mentioned me like that before. When he returned from his event, I confronted him with the message, thinking it was the only one. I told him right away that the only reason I was staying was because there was no cheating, by which I meant physical cheating, because this was already cheating to me. He shed many tears, but he eventually explained everything and answered all of my questions. I decided that I wanted us to try to save our relationship because, aside from this, it is fantastic. We've only ever had problems in the bedroom, which was obviously the case here, and after that we talked for a long time, communicated, discussed what we wanted going forward, and devised a plan to implement those changes. We both agreed to go to couples counseling, and the appointment has already been scheduled. I wish with all my heart that that was everything, but it wasn't. I offered to trade phones for his event again, but he declined, which raised some red flags for me. I knew it was probably toxic, but I went through his Discord messages and discovered that he had cheated on me via video call with a friend he wanted advice from. The messages happened a day after he took advice from his first friend, so everything happened in July. I won't go into detail about what they said, but I will say that it was only that one time, and no, I did not take his word for it, I checked the messages myself. He said he didn't tell me everything at once because I would have left him if I found out he cheated. He was also afraid that I would follow through on my jokes about what I would do if he cheated. I didn't hold back any of my emotions about the situation, and I made it abundantly clear how close he came to losing me, and at the end of our conversation, he kind of lost it a little bit and had a genuine panic attack. We ended the conversation because it was extremely late, and we would pick it up the next morning. I set a firm boundary and requested that he end any contact with the cheater. I asked him to cut off communicating with them, and he agreed. He removed her from everything he currently has access to this morning and will do the same when he gets home. We came up with an even better plan, and we were both really committed to changing, and we ended up cuddling and just talking for about 40 minutes before you had to go to his event, $200 plus for tickets, no way I was letting him miss. I can't tell any of my friends about this because I know it will color their opinion of him. I want this relationship to work, but I feel like I'm being stupid by staying in it. I feel like he's my soulmate, which I know is incredibly cliché, but he's been amazing. What would you do and how would you handle it? Has anyone been through this before and had it end well? Comment. This is what you call amazing? Sheesh. Get some higher standards. Soulmates don't cheat on you. You're fooling yourself that he's amazing when the reality is that he's looking for every chance he can to cheat on you.